Hello and welcome to the Service-Based Business Society podcast. I am your host, Tiffany-Ann Bottcher. On our weekly episodes, we will dig into everything you need to know about scaling your service-based business without losing sleep. With my experience in creating over 7 figures per month and a passion for marketing, finance, and automation, this show will provide tangible tips and techniques for scaling your business. Let's get started. Okay, guys, today I am joined by Krystal Holm. Krystal is a Feng Shui designer and clutter expert who helps work-from-home entrepreneurs declutter and design a workspace that empowers them to create the business and life they want. Using her proprietary framework, the Designed Life Method, Mind, Body, Soul, Home, she helps her clients design spaces and lives that they love. Krystal shows women how to use their workspace as a 3D vision board to help them design who they are becoming, the life they want, all right in their space. Welcome to the show, Krystal. Hello, Krystal, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to own your business.
Wow, that's always such a big question.
Isn't it? We always start with a good one.
Right. I kind of have always wanted to have my own company, wanted to have my own business. My grandparents owned their own business when I was growing up. So that was where I went after school when I was little, right? I always was in the office playing boss, I guess is what you would call it, right? With their little, adding machine and playing, I own the company. And so that was sort of always my thing. I tried numerous different ventures into what is this it? Nope, maybe not so much. Oh, is this what it? Nope, not so much, right? I had a few different experiences before I finally found, I guess, what I would really call, I wrapped all of my passions up into one thing and created something out of that. And so, yeah, it took me a lifetime, and a lot of experimenting to figure out what really is my passion and how do I wrap all of those things up into something that helps humanity. So
yeah, it's interesting how, and I think in, the start of COVID, the word pivot kind of became like a word. And so now I'm like, oh, I don't even want to use the word pivot. But realistically, as we go through these journeys and creating our businesses, we go through these, is it this? Maybe not. And kind of going through these different processes, but you end up kind of taking a piece of each one with you of, oh, I liked this. Oh, I want this, and taking it with you. And sometimes they're bigger changes and sometimes they're small changes. I laugh because I love the color. I love the color black, which isn't the color, but I love black. Before I started my business, my first set of branding was black, beige, gray, and white.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not good for Pinterest.
Everything that I'm wearing today.
There you go. Yes. Neutrals. I loved it. It was so me, but it was it was really tough in certain places because it was so neutral. And I laugh because as my business has evolved and, the colors are just one example, but realistically, we went to an orange set of branding with the agency and, the podcast is obviously some very loud blue, purple, pink, all of these things that I thought I would never be. So it's interesting how things evolve and change. So tell me, what did you bring through on your journey from each of these pieces? What is an example of something that you liked about the first business? What was that business? And how does that impact your business today?
Well, my first one really was in the front porch when I was 6. So, that was just more of, I think, the vision of someday I will be my own boss, right? I think that was sort of the initial vision. But what I've taken through even from the real beginning, right? My first company, as an adult, my first 2 companies were MLMs, right? I joined in on somebody else's product. And what I really took from that was especially the second one, not as much the first one, but the second one, which was mentorship and how important it is to have someone there to teach you what to do. right? I
Yes.
mean, I don't know about you, but I learned nothing about owning a business in school. I didn't even learn about owning a business growing up in a business. Like, really, like I ran
Yeah.
around this shop all day, every day. That was my place. And even then, I wasn't taught anything about running a company, right? But luckily, I did have a mentor in the second quote unquote business that I started. And so I think that was probably a big thing, was just having someone ahead of me that is saying, "Oh, you want to get here? Let me just show you what to do." Because I mean, it makes the journey so much shorter as long as you can take it in. That for me was a
Yes.
big part, because I had a lot of healing to do along the way too. Just in order to be able to really step up and put myself out there, um, with all of the sometimes backlash that comes with that, as well as even being able to receive. And so I had a lot of that to go on, but that mentorship helped me there too.
It's interesting the whole MLM process and negative connotation that often comes with it. People, oh, MLM. And so I actually, as I was leaving my corporate job, I joined an MLM, and I don't share that with many people necessarily, because it was fairly short-lived, and I determined right away that I was really not that great at selling things, and that was going to be an issue, and I needed to work on it. Um, but I loved the camaraderie and the mentorship that came with it. And, people said, why did you join an MLM? And it was really, I said, I just love the people. I love that you have this group of most were women, um, this group of people all working towards common goals, chatting with each other, and coming from corporate, where I often joked it was the old boys club. Like, I was so tired of the old boys club, and being the only woman at the table and really feeling like I was kind of the black sheep. And so the MLM piece for me was so much more about the just the camaraderie and the group and the connection and the community. So, and it wasn't a great fit, and I knew that I had other things I wanted to do. But I definitely think that the mentorship piece is so key. Nobody necessarily, unless you go to business school. So I mean, I have a business degree and I did my MBA and all of these things, but that's still not the stuff you learn. What you learn is not what you're using every day in your business. Sure, if we want to dig into strategies and big concepts and all of these things, these are the kinds of things, okay, we learned in business school. But, should I do this social media post or that social media post? What is the trend right now? Should I be working on marketing? Should I be working on sales? What is cold email the right thing right now? All of these different pieces, none of that is covered in school. Everybody's kind of just, in and working with experience. And so mentorship is super key. This episode is brought to you by Eleanor. Eleanor helps you create an automated business and provides a custom-tailored solution to track conversions and metrics, deliver workflows, and provide you with all of the tools you need to succeed. Eleanor ensures you can go from an overwhelmed business owner to a confident CEO that has more time, less stress, and bigger profits. As a listener of the show, you can get 25% off with the discount code SOCIETY. Go to eleanor.io and use code SOCIETY. That's ELENORE.io, discount code SOCIETY. So how would you say, now that you are working with your business, and how would you say that the journey really, has brought you to where you are today? And I'll frame the question by saying, you talked about, the healing that was needed and being willing to, stick yourself out there, which is a huge part of entrepreneurship. And being willing to put yourself out there and be passionate and be forward and all of these pieces. So how has that journey really contributed to now this more open, you know, current version?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that that was a big part of it, right? The mentorship that I got, right, from my first business, I had, obviously there was sales training in there. There was also more personal development sort of stuff, which helped me to get started overcoming a lot of the baggage that I was carrying around from my childhood. I was super introverted. Well, I'm still super introverted, but I was super shy when I was little. Um, I also grew up in a really abusive home, and I learned from a very young age to kind of hide and keep it quiet and pretend and fake it till you make it, and all of this sort of stuff that I was taught that really kept me playing small, right? I was terrified of being able to putting myself out there and having, people come at me with whatever, calling me a liar or telling me I didn't know what I was talking about, or all of these things, because that was stuff that I had experienced so frequently growing up. And so for me, I had a lot of healing and growth to get through, to be able to get past that, to be able to move past that and say, not just this is who I help and what I do, but why I help them, and how, like, we get to some of these deeper levels of that work, right? Because it's, I think we all sort of have that cold, dark night of the soul, right? That we have to heal from, especially as women, right? We get beat down from so many different directions that when it's finally time to really step into this place, which
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is a place, right? It's like the road less traveled, right? It's this new place, and it's it can be very brutal out here, right? So having that strength, that core of resilience and inner, I can't think of the word that I want, just that inner core of that feminine power, right? But we have to heal so much to build that back up, right? Because so many places, at least in my experience, everywhere I turned always was like, oh, you're a woman, you're less than us, right? And so you can't possibly know anything, right? For whatever reason, like, you have boobs and that means your brain does not work. Like, it sort of is just this thing. And so overcoming all of that to be able to really step into and stand in that place of power, I think, is, at least that was a big part of my healing journey.
And I think more common than most people want to admit, to be honest. I think, I talk to business owners, especially through the agency, of all different, sizes and industries and levels of experience. And not one person has ever not had a moment of like, oh my goodness, can we really do this? And at different times and different things, some people it's showing up on video and, putting themselves out there. They're like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. And other people it's um, blogging and showing a more personal side. It's always a different piece. But always there's these moments of, oh, can I? And you can see that, and it's like, hey, no, we're on it. We can do this. Let's keep going. And I often say, you can't stay here. The business is kind of, you can either say, okay, we're not going ahead and we're gonna go back, or you have to keep going forward, but you can't just stand still in that moment of fear. And often it's, to me, the two most common ones are technology. People saying like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know which button to push. I'm gonna break it. I said, nothing's gonna explode. You can't really break it. We can fix it. We can always fix it. And then the insecurity of being vulnerable.
Right.
And
We stumble along very publicly with our imperfections and just putting it out there of, like, I'm human, right? I do podcast interviews like this all the time. Sometimes I mean, I'm crying on podcasts and it's like, well, that wasn't what I intended to do, but like, it's just, here I
yeah.
am being human and just doing it very publicly. And for a lot of us, that is a big boulder to get up and
Hmm.
over, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, especially even like for me, when I was real young, right, I had some, just whatever, different life experiences that happened. And then to have everybody point and laugh and, Krystal did it, kind of things. and the humiliation that goes with it, and then to voluntarily like put yourself out there for it. Yeah, that's hard. That takes a lot. And I think there's little bits of healing that have to happen, and sometimes there's big bits of it that have to happen in order for us to be able to just step out and say, yeah, I don't care if you laugh, Tony. You go right ahead and laugh your little ass off, because it doesn't matter, right? I'm out here doing things and you're not. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the experiences I think that really had that moment for me is I actually went back and taught a big training session at my old high school. And so high school was not the greatest time for me. I am still super shy and introverted, but have learned as an adult how to, show up when I need to show up and put myself in situations that I enjoy. These types of podcast situations, I love connecting with other women and men and business owners and entrepreneurs. But certain things about high school, had someone said, you'll be podcasting, I probably would have said, not a chance. But, so I went back and we had this corporate training event. There was about 150 people. And so we've got the slides, we've got multiple screens, we're standing and I'm going to be leading this training event. And I went to the bathroom just before I was going to go on. And, walking down the hallway and like the bathroom still smelled the same. I know that's going to sound super weird, not out a bad smell, but like whatever the cleaner was, that's that. And I stood looking in the mirror and it was like, whoa, it was this moment of like, because I was standing there dressed, very professional and wearing heels. And I felt I felt confident to go on. I knew what I was talking about, very confident and passionate about the subject. And, but looking in the mirror and standing in my high school, staring at the mirror was this moment. I can tell you it changed so much for me. Just standing there, washing my hands, looking in the mirror. It was crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all have those. just those moments that it happens and it's like the world
Yeah.
just changed. Like something shifted in the like the whole universe just whoop, and now everything is different, even though it looks the same and
Mm-hmm.
everything on the outside looks the same, but this massive shift just occurred internally. And that's, yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
happens for all of us. That very magical moment of stepping into who you were meant to become always.
Absolutely. I love the way you put that. I love that. So talk to me about your business now and who you're helping and why you're passionate about it.
Well, because that's what I get to do. I get to help them become who it is that they want to be. So I am a Feng Shui designer and a clutter expert. Um, and I help women to declutter and design their workspace in a way that really empowers them to create the life and business that they want. So we dig into the way I do design. Is I we don't design for who you are today, because today is a culmination of who all of your yesterdays, right? We design for who you are becoming next, on your journey. And so I like to call it really creating this 3D vision board out of your space that makes room for you to become who it is that you are trying to become.
That's incredible. It kind of comes back to that saying, don't dress for who you are, dress for who you want to be. It's taking it to the next space and applying it to your space. Um, I love the concept of, your office space setting you up for success and that future life. So what types of things are your go-tos? Obviously, it's very personalized for each person, but what are things that you consistently see across the board that help with that process? What changes or recommendations are you making for people consistently?
Well, I over the course of a couple of decades, I've really developed a whole framework around how to do this with clients, right? And because what I see consistently is we've got our clutter, right? Everything's cluttering up the space that we're in. And we don't really have time for that because we're so busy trying to drive the bus towards the goal that we're just stepping over the clutter, right? And kind of
Yes.
ignoring it. And the
Yes.
same thing is happening in our business, right? We learn all these new things, but we don't really implement them yet. We gotta go the hard route for some reason. And so with my clients, I have this sort of method, right? I call it the designed life method, right? And it sort of is like 4 pillars, right? Mind, body, soul, and home. Your space energetically, it's an extension, right, of your energetic frequency. So when we look at your space, we can really see like what's going on internally, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of those things, it's all reflected in your space. So when I'm working with clients, I always start with decluttering, right? We start with decluttering all of those things that are keeping us stuck where we are. Because your physical clutter is not just physical clutter, right? It's just a reflection of the mental and emotional clutter that's really keeping us stuck. So we always start with decluttering first. That doesn't mean get rid of everything, but it does mean declutter the clutter. And I have a whole method for that, right? There's a 5-step process that I teach to them, which really becomes more of a tool in their arsenal for them to use at any time going forward. And then the next thing we do is really dive into designing that space for who she is. First, we have to figure out, who is she? Like, we all do a lot of visioning, right? I want to visualize the future, but we visualize in this very abstract way. I want this house and this car, and I want to whatever kind of look like this, and but we don't really get down to the nitty gritty of what does every day look like. And when we do that, when we really start honing in and zeroing in on what does your day look like, right, in your office space, like what you run a business, like what does that look like? And we start honing in on, okay, now, and then what do we want it to look like, right? What does it look like right now? What would it look like if it were in your ideal situation, right? Whatever that might be.
Right.
So that we can then use that as the foundation for our design process, right? The process of design is kind of the same, right? We space plan and then we decorate, right?
Right.
At my firm, we have the added bonus of the feng shui aspect, right?
Right.
That's the next part. Once we have the vision, right? We know who she's becoming. We know what her goals are. We know what the vision is. Now we can design around it. We can do the feng shui part, and we can get her into alignment with her space, right? Energetically, we can put her in her power position so that the space that she's in is not just a space. It's literally a battery. Like, it's energetically amplifying her, right? So I don't know a lot about human design, but there's some similarity stuff, right? With what's blocked and what's open, and how it uses its charge. Your space is similar, right? You can use your space to really charge up your physical energy. And so that's what we do in the space. We align you with it. And then we decorate the whole thing into being, right? We add all of the feng shui remedies that will correct any misalignments where the energy is not flowing. And then we really bring it to life. So like you were talking about kind of at the beginning, I want my branding. Well, sometimes they don't, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I have clients that come to me, have no idea what their branding is, but we work that out in the process, right? So, all of those colors come about, and so that they really have a space that they love, right? Because I mean, I've had clients that I've worked with that, like, they don't want to go in their office. Like, I've got a home-based business and I got a whole room I don't want to go in where my business is because I don't like it in there. Like, how are you ever going to grow a business if you cannot go in your office? Like,
Right.
so the goal really is to have a space that you love, that inspires you to work and make that impact that you're here to make, but also energetically supports you so that you have the power, right? As women, and this is a little tangent here, right? We're powered by estrogen. Estrogen is a diffuse awareness thing. Our brains are meant to be everywhere. But as an entrepreneur, when we are single focused, which is a very testosterone based way of being, right? It throws us off of our, like, out of our energy. So when we can get the space that supports us energetically in our feminine, so that we are inspired to create and birth whatever it is that we are creating, it makes a huge difference in then the impact that we are able to create in the world. It is the foundation, right? Having your energy supported.
That is so interesting. I never contemplated it from that perspective at all. Very interesting. What is your biggest pet peeve about people's space that you
Oh, goodness. I'm going to have a better answer for this later. I know.
for sure?
um, there's a few things, the what really makes me cringe is this "I'll do it later" attitude. Because I see women struggling so hard to lift this empire that they are trying to create. Like, it's heavy lifting, right? We are trying to lift the Empire State Building, right? It's not like we're doing these minor things. We're just like, oh, I'll deal with it later. I'll decorate my office later, like when I deserve it. And so
Yeah,
now we're swimming upstream, fighting against the current always, until this, like, we're doing it backwards, right? You deserve it up front, first of all, and you don't have to wait until you've earned it. But also, if we would just do it up front, energetically, we wouldn't have to lift so hard, right? So
right.
that drives me crazy when it's like, um, the, you know, we do it in reverse because we feel like we have to put everybody else first and then put ourselves last. And then they think that it doesn't matter because, well, it's just decorations. But it's so much more than that. Energetically, it's literally draining you. But it's just a sign of all how deeply embedded the idea is that you have to put yourself last. Even your own business, you have to put last, and even your own office space, yet like, so that is really one of my biggest pet peeves, probably, um, about the whole thing, is that we think we have to wait until we've reached the pinnacle to then
Hmm.
give ourselves, um, what we deserve.
Yes, it comes down to that. It's all so linked, and feeling that powerful and confident, and the energy's working the right way, and then the worth that comes with investing into things like the office space and whatnot. I from a from a technology standpoint, which is more my area of expertise, I often see people working on a laptop with no additional monitor or no keyboard or no mouse. And then they're finding themselves they're like, oh, everything's taking so long. And it's like, you're not set up for success. You need the tools. So you need the space. You need the space to be set up correctly. You need the equipment to do the job. If you're spending, 6 hours a day on your computer and your computer is not what you need it to be, this is just wasted energy and wasted time. And I always think, what could that time be spent on? What could that, what opportunities could be, we be exploring, or these types of things. So, looking at this process and the decluttering and whatnot, how can people take that first step? Where can they meet with you? Where can they, see your content? Where's that next step for those that are thinking, oh my gosh, Krystal is speaking to me?
Yes. If I am speaking to you and you need to start with decluttering, first and foremost, go to declutteryourmindset.com and download my 5-step method. It's going to walk you through the right way to declutter. So, because most people want to go from step 1 to step 5. They discover, oh, I have some
Of
clutter,
course.
and then boop, let's
Of
just
course we
right.
do.
But then they
Absolutely.
exactly. The problem with there is no shortcuts. So the problem
Right.
with going from step 1 to step 5, which is a very patriarchal attitude, by the way, going from step 1 to step 5 is you skip all the magic. You skip all the magic of steps 2, 3, and 4, which is where all the beautiful things happen. It's where the growth happens. It's where the releasing happens. It's where everything shifts. It's where we literally energetically make the shift in the space. And so you have to go through all the process. Otherwise, you're just wasting time, and you're just going to continue on this hamster wheel of doing it over and over again and getting nowhere.
Right.
So start there.
Right.
And then I did actually fairly recently launch a YouTube channel, which is full of free content for, just little bits at a time to be able to help you through that process of decluttering the space and really designing the space to.
Exciting, exciting. I'll be sure to tag the YouTube channel in the show notes and description. That's fantastic. And how have you been enjoying YouTube?
I love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Yes.
that's
Hmm.
awesome. It's it's each social platform really has its own vibe, really does. And so I always, YouTube, I find people love it, or they're just it's not their jam. So yeah, I also love YouTube and what's going on. I think there's so much amazing content being created with so many different topics and whatnot.
Yeah, I tried to launch the first time back in 2019, and I wasn't ready. It wasn't the right time for me. So this time I launched about a month ago now, and so this time I was definitely in the right place, and the content definitely shows that. Right. I'm
Right.
so much more excited about it. I'm so much more excited about what I'm putting out there and what people are wanting. Right. So that's
Yes.
a big difference. Mhm.
Have you noticed a shift since people have been working from home more that the need is increasing on what you're talking about in your service? I mean, so many people started working from their kitchen tables. And it's only recently really that I've seen a lot of people not talking like, hey, I finally have to get off the kitchen table and this is more permanent. And so, it's a transformation. It is a journey. It's been a journey, and no one's really known exactly the destination with this work from home and whatnot. So has that changed things for you?
You know, um, yes and no, right? I started the work from home thing a few years before all of this when I got hurt. And so my clients have always been work from home entrepreneurs. That's always been the people that I have been geared towards. What I've noticed with this shift in the pandemic is I feel like there's a lot more people that need me, for
Yes.
sure. Um, because, and I think it does and will continue to change the way we live. Like, not just the way we live right now, but people are shifting to, oh, now I'm going to move and I'm going to get a house with an extra bedroom, or we're going back to like when we used to have dens, back in like the 50s and 60s, right? They built houses with dens. We're going to have a need of that again, right? People are going to stay. This work from home thing is not going to go away. um
No.
and I think more and more people are going to continue this trend of leaving corporate America to start your own business is going to continue. And people that are in corporate America working from a home-based office is also going to continue because it's just better for our mental health. I think it gives us so much more freedom, and I think people just like it that much more. So it's been great for me and for my business. I we just There needs to be about.
When you figure out how to do that, please let me know. Please let me know. I think you'd be a very rich woman. So, if you have one tangible tip to share that someone can implement today and see a difference tomorrow, what would that be for you?
In Take today, and I don't care what you have doing, put it on hold and declutter your office. Like, seriously, dig into it. Don't step over that pile of crap for one more day. Like, declutter it. Go through and throw out the trash, sort the clutter, like, do the process. Even if it takes you a whole week of not being productive, right, in your work, by the end, when you do dive back in, it will be so much more productive. You will more than make up for the lost time by taking
Wow.
the time off to declutter and clean your space. Just the shift energetically will make a huge difference in how you feel and in how the money flows in your business, how the clients flow in your business. It'll make a shift.
Awesome. I look forward to trying that out myself, and also some of our listeners trying it out and really seeing that transformation. I find the transformation for me, transformation is the most exciting part of any business journey. Is watching as the people transform, the businesses transform, everything works together. So, if we want to connect with you, Krystal, let's chat about that YouTube channel. What is it called?
Krystal TV.
Krystal
Right.
TV, love it.
Yep. So the best way to find me is actually just go to watch Krystal TV. It's a
Okay,
bit.ly link, bit.ly watch Krystal TV.
fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure to be here and chat with you today.
Well, we are all out of time for today. If you guys have not joined the Service-Based Business Society Facebook community, make sure you head on over to Facebook and we can continue the conversation. Be sure to also follow the show by going to any podcast app and searching Service-Based Business Society. Click subscribe, click the 5th star, and leave us a written review. Have a great week, and we will see you soon.